The content in this podcast is sensitive, and it might not be suitable for everyone. Listeners' discretion is advised.
Go, 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 go. Harder, push, harder, 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 harder. A little bit more, a little bit more. First. Yeah,
Hey, so this is Boynton. One of our off-duty firefighters just gave us a call. He just found what appears to be, he said, a dead fetus baby in the boat. I have one of our, I have one of our Marine units headed that way. But if you can get someone started.
With a heartbreaking story, a baby found floating in the Boynton Beach inlet.
Found dead near the Boynton Beach inlet.
A baby death mystery. An infant girl found floating in the ocean off Boynton Beach.
Brandon Christian is live at the inlet where witnesses.
The child was likely born in a hospital, normal and healthy. No real reason why this child should be in the ocean dead.
Welcome to The Lead, a podcast of law enforcement stories told to you by law enforcement officers. I'm Anthony Rodriguez.
And I'm Fatima Simichi.
Today we'll be talking about a case that the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office has never dealt before. This case is full of heartbreak and mystery and, quite frankly, shock.
For the last year, this twisted and horrendous case has troubled many and left them puzzled, from detectives as well as the community.
This is the case of baby June. It's Friday, June 1st, 2018. A newborn baby's body is found floating in the ocean near the Boynton Beach inlet,
which is on the southeast side of Florida.
An off-duty Boynton Beach firefighter found the child's lifeless body while boating with friends. It was around 1 p.m. At that time, a 911 call was made.
Well, I get a phone call from my lieutenant, and he tells me that they had recovered a baby in the ocean. And, the first thing that comes to mind, is there a mother floating around as well, or somebody else? Or did we get any reports? I mean, is there somebody on the beach that's frantically running around looking for a child? And all the answers to those questions was no.
That was Captain Steven Strabelli, head of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Special Victims Unit. He has been working with the agency for 20 years and has placed a genuine interest in this particular case.
The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Special Victims Unit began the investigation and sent the baby's body to the medical examiner's office. They hope that with an autopsy, they can determine the baby's cause of death and possibly help identify her.
After the tragic discovery, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office hosted a press conference to discuss the incident and asked the community for help to identify the baby.
I appreciate you all coming here to aid us in our efforts today. This is a tragedy that we are investigating at this point. In summary, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is looking for the public's assistance in identifying a female infant who was found deceased at approximately 1 o'clock p.m. on June 1st, 2018. Was found floating in the ocean waters off of the Boynton Beach area. Yeah, it's gut-wrenching, and we hate seeing it, and we really desperately want to get to the bottom of what happened.
I mean, the press conference was very recent, right after the incident took place, right? I think it was like 2 or 3 days after.
A few days right after, yeah.
So, from what I remember, there wasn't that much information besides the discovery of the body being found, and lots of questions from reporters and the media, but it was a recent investigation.
The sheriff's helicopter was deployed moments after receiving the 911 call. A video was recorded, and we actually got a chance to look at that video.
Yeah, I remember you telling me, no, I'm not showing it to you, and I really wanted to see it because I needed to get it personal. But when you actually showed it to me, I almost regret seeing it because it was just that real and you couldn't believe what you were seeing. She did not look like a baby. She looked like a doll.
It was, yeah. and it was a sunny day. It wasn't really windy. I remember there was some seaweed around in the area, but then there was like an object that was, really pink, and you couldn't mistake it.
It was standing out.
Yeah, it was standing out. So there was a section of the video where the helicopter zooms in, and that's when you saw that it wasn't a doll, it wasn't a toy, it was an actual baby. And it was naked, facing down, floating amongst the seaweed.
Because of the conditions the baby was found, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office forensic artist Paul Moody created a sketch of what the child would have looked like alive.
Well, Paul Moody's excellent at what he does, and he did this, and this was a tough situation because, a lot of newborn babies look the same, but we did it because there might have been some facial feature or some recognition that somebody had when they saw that picture, and it leads them to calling. And we also did it to, in my opinion, to tug at the heartstrings a little bit, that they see that this was an actual child here, and this is what this child most likely looked like at birth. And we want people to know this is a human being that we're investigating the death of.
The sketch showed a precious baby girl with dark hair and tan skin, sleeping peacefully. Her little closed fist is covering half of her mouth as she rests her head on a white background. Unlike the way her naked body was found, she wore white in the sketch. The image not only served as a way to, demonstrate to the community the way that she looked alive, but to put an image of emotion so that people know we're referring to a baby, and it's not just something that we say it or we hear it, but it's also something that stick with us. And I think that's what that picture did. I think everybody that was there the day of a press conference, or everybody that watched the news, could remember that picture till today.
A few days after the first press conference, the sheriff's office hosted a follow-up press conference with more information about the baby.
Here's an update that we want to release to you today. The unidentified baby, who we're now calling Baby June, was most likely between 4 and 7 days old, according to the medical examiner. That would put a birth date sometime between May 25th and 28th. Baby June has been confirmed to be non-Caucasian and non-Asian, most likely scenario being that the baby is either mixed race, black, or Hispanic. Our best approximation is that the baby was floating in the water anywhere from 6 to 18 hours before discovery. Based on this and several other factors, we now believe it may be possible for the child to have drifted up from as far south as Broward County.
When we removed the child and the initial information went out to the media about the case, I expected that the phones were going to be just ringing off the hook with information, people that knew what was going on, what had happened, and that there was some story. We have not gotten that response, even though we went out and we did a press release, first initial press release, and then we did a secondary press release and put information all over the place trying to get somebody to come forward. We've gotten nothing that has been of value. We've gotten a lot of tips. I think 18 were recounted, but nothing has panned out. It's a lot of speculation and people saying, I had this friend that had a child, and now I don't know where the child is, and I'm suspicious, but it turned out that those were nothing related to this. In one of the cases, it was a child that was put up for adoption and so on.
Well, in this conference, there were two major details that were disclosed, and one was that the baby may have drifted from as far south as Broward County.
So also at this point, we got a crucial discovery from the medical examiner.
Well, the medical examiner comes, and they send out their team, and they recover the actual child. And they proceed to the facility here at headquarters, at their medical examiner facility. And they, at that point, they start to theorize and examine the child and come up with why the child had died and what had happened. some of the signs that gives us some pieces of the puzzle. The child had what they call a heel prick test done. And the heel prick is usually indicative of a child that was born in a hospital, and then what happens as soon as the child is born, they start doing a battery of tests. And that's a typical initial test that they do in the hospitals. And so there was evidence of that on the right heel. And there was also a clipped umbilical cord, which is another sign that the child was born in a hospital and had some medical attention after birth. So both good signs as far as that this child was born alive and born in a hospital, or they wouldn't have done these two tests if it was stillborn or born in home, discarded. Also, that the child was born probably 7 to 8 pounds, which is a normal, healthy birth. And so we expected that the child was born healthy and normal, as far as we can see. And I guess the last thing that we learned from the medical examiner was during their exam, they were able to uncover some bruising in the skull that is indicative of a child that was born vaginally because of the pressure. Nothing abnormal about that at all, but that they had expected the child was born vaginally based on that. So you have the minor head bruising, which is a sign the child was born vaginally. You have the heel prick test, that is normally a test done in a hospital. And then you have the fact that the child was 20 inches long, 7 to 8 pounds in weight, meaning to us, the child was likely born in a hospital, normal and healthy. No real reason why this child should be in the ocean dead. We just need a break in this case, and then we will figure out what happened in the end. Yeah, it's going to be a mystery.
And I don't know if we spoke about this, but based on what they said and the decomp of the child's body, how long do you estimate the body was in the water?
So that is actually a item that is debatable. We think the child could have been in the water for as many as 2 days, as few as 1 full day. But it's hard to say. And based on the amount of time the child was in the water, it really kind of leads us to where the child might have been put into the water. And early on in the investigation, we reached out for the Coast Guard, United States Coast Guard, and we asked them to weigh in because they're the experts in what they call reverse drift. And they had asked for some details, which we gave them, and they produced a report that says that based on the amount of time the child was in the water, which we can't say exactly, they gave us some proposed ideas of where the child was most likely placed into the water. So the longer the child is in the water, the more likely it is the child came from down south into Broward County. And the least likely it is that it was introduced into the water anywhere locally. So most likely scenario, according to their report, was that the child was put into the water from the shore and then, based on the currents and so forth, drifted into Palm Beach County, where it was eventually located in Boynton. But again, however, this is dependent upon how long the child was in the water. So if the child was in the water longer than we expected or estimated, that could continue the drift from the south, meaning it could have gone as far down as southern Broward County. Pompano and Fort Lauderdale are the most likely areas that the child was introduced into the water. And so, according to the reports, not really likely that the child came from Palm Beach County or north of the location that the child was recovered, just because of drift.
So the next logical step for these detectives was to actually go out and see if any mother was missing a baby around the time frame where baby June was born.
We had just, started looking, and we ended up between Palm Beach and Broward counties. We ended up checking over 600 babies that were born in the date ranges that we expected baby June to have been born in. And it was a huge undertaking for both agencies. We ended up checking 600, verifying 600 babies that were born in the date ranges that we expected baby June to be.
So how does that work? You go to the hospitals, you find the babies and make sure that they're okay?
Yeah.
How does that work?
That's exactly what we did. We went to hospitals, each hospital, and we got records. We cross-referenced them with vital statistics, and we just went knocking on doors, reaching out for people, making contact, and and like I said, between Palm Beach and Broward counties, there was over 600 babies born in that range, and each were checked. Now, some of them were born here, live in Martin County, and some that were born in Broward live in Miami-Dade. Actually, we had a couple out of state, out of the area altogether, which we had their local jurisdictions verify them. So all of our babies in Palm Beach and Broward counties are accounted for, which then raises the question, well, what's next? I mean, where do we go from here?
Now, there's only a few theories of what could have happened to baby June.
I mean, so yeah, we're looking at a couple of possible scenarios. One, the child was discarded. Two, that something had happened, whether it be SIDS, accidental smothering, intentional smothering, intentional homicide, and then discarded. Or three, accidental via a, coming to shore or coming from another country. So those are your three scenarios, and I don't see anything that points in any direction other than those three.
A year later, the sheriff's office has received a few tips, but the case remains a mystery. What is known is that, according to the medical examiner, the cause of death was suffocation.
Now, there's a reward up to $10,000 that was offered by Sheriff Rick Bradshaw to anyone who can help identify who baby June is and where her parents are.
So I don't know if you remember when the news came in, but the minute I heard that there was a baby found in the ocean, and the sheriff's office receives all the missing reports of kids, and there was no missing reports of a newborn, the first thing that you can think of is something went wrong.
This was foul play.
This was foul play. There's no way, there's no mother looking for their child, and there's no mother next to the baby, so this is not okay. It's sad, but you can't help but get angry right away.
All right, but the one thing that we do know is that this mother doesn't want to be found. She's hiding. And there could be some reasons for that. It could be that she's already wanted. She could have a warrant out right now and she's hiding. Or it could be that she's an illegal alien. She doesn't have any papers and didn't want to call the cops when baby June died. Or it could be something more malicious. We don't know.
So at this point, we have to not only reach out to the mother, because if the mother doesn't want to be found, it's been a year later. I'm sure if she's alive, she's seen the news, and she's aware that her baby's missing. So now we have to reach out to the surrounding family members, potentially the father, or anybody else that could have been in touch with the woman that had a baby around that frame.
Something happens with your mental health, or you just don't want to be a parent anymore. There are ways you can give your child up into foster care, into Department of Children and Families. You can go right now to any fire station and drop off a baby. No questions asked. No repercussions. That's not against the law.
And there's no paperwork required. There's no shaming.
No, you could do it anonymously. Just drop off the baby. Save the baby's life.
We just need a break in this case, and then we will figure out what happened in the end.
It's so sad because you think it's really sad. You think about the possibilities. You think about everything that the baby could be, and you think about how they're so delicate and they're so tiny and their fingers are so delicate and they could break, and then you want to hug them and wrap them, and to find her naked, disposed, floating like trash. You find plastic bottles in the ocean, not babies.